I'm going to show you how to draw a heart in Inkscape using the Draw Bezier tool. I have that selected. I'm going to click once. I'm going to hold down Control. Control will keep the line straight. So I'll click once up here, once over here, once over here, and once over here. Doesn't look great, but we're going to go into this node editing tool. Right here, it's called Edit Paths by Nodes. We get to move it around however we like. And to adjust it, we're just going to either click and drag on these lines, or we can actually click on the nodes itself, and it'll bring up the handles, and we can use the handles. Depending on what I'm doing, I like to drag the lines to about the shape that I want, and if there's some fine-tuning, then I'll take the handles and I'll adjust with the handles. So right now I want to make a symmetrical heart, so I am only doing 1/2. That looks okay. It might be a bit wide. So I'm going to go here to select transform objects. I think I'm just going to bring it in a little bit. So now we have 1/2 a heart. I'm going to duplicate it, or Control D, and then from there I will mirror using this button right here, mirror object or flip objects horizontally, and then I'm going to bring it till it snaps here. To get it to snap, you have to look over here at the far right. There's a lot of snapping tools. So I have some of them selected, and this allows it to snap to other nodes. Okay, I kind of like the way that looks. It might be a little bit deep. Now there's 2 ways that I know of, or that I use in order to put them together. You can simply union them. So I'm going to show you here. I have a node here, here, here. This is where they share nodes, or the nodes are touching. And you can just go up to Path, Union, but you see it's not even here. So right now both halves are symmetrical, but say I wanted to adjust something, it would be a little bit different because I have different nodes on the sides. So you can do that and then adjust, but it'll go up differently. Another way to do it would be to select both halves, and then here I'm going to drag over this shared node and drag over this shared node. So you can either do it by dragging over the whole center, or dragging over one, holding down Shift on your keyboard and dragging over another. And they kind of disappeared. That just means they're selected. And you're going to come up here to the node tool, because we're still in node editor. Break paths at selected nodes. We'll do that. And you can see here how it changed just a little bit. Okay, that means I broke the path here and here on both objects. I'm going to delete. Just click on this line here, click and delete. And on this side too, click and delete. Now if you see, now I have no line in the middle here, but it's still 2 separate halves. You can see the paths line up separately. I'll just highlight this, come back up to my node editing tool, join selected nodes, and now we've got to do the same thing for the one down here, join selected nodes. So now both sides are symmetric with the nodes. It doesn't matter too much, but say I wanted to make this less deep. I can click on that node, and instead of using my mouse to drag, I wanted to bring it straight up. So I'm just going to use my keyboard. And now you can see that as I do that, both sides are changing the same because they have the same nodes at the same patterns. Now, if I drag it like off to the side, it's not going to be the same, but that would be the same. That would be the true for any case. So that's how I make a heart. Now, why do I want this heart? We've got Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, all kinds of things coming up that you could use it for. I'm going to turn this into maybe an ornament that says love or whatever, or maybe an earring. For this one, I'm going to duplicate, so Control D. That gives me a duplicate copy of my heart here. And I want to come up to Path, and I like to use dynamic offset. It's not always the cleanest, but it will give us even spacing all around. You can either bring it in, but you can see you're losing a lot of the sharp edges there, or you can bring it out. If you drag it out, we're going to go back up here. Once you get the distance that you want, drag up here, or go back up here, Path, Object to Path. And then from there, I want to go Object lower to bottom, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a cutout from this outer heart, and I need to make sure that this is pretty much on the bottom of this. It's like saying, here's my big piece of cake, here's the chunk I'm going to take out of it. So now that we have that, we can go to Path, Difference, and now this is all one object. You can see when you go into the node editing tool that once you click on it, the whole thing is selected. So now I have this heart cut out. Well, what can I do with it? Maybe we want to add the word love or mom, or just something. So we go to the text tool and we type what we want. We're going to put it wherever we want it, adjust it. Now this is still text, so what we want to do from there is either Path, Object to Path, or you can on your keyboard Control Shift C. What that did was it turned our text into an object now. So you could tell it's an object, we got these. Now if you're doing separate letters, this will always happen. It's actually making every single one of these letters into a separate object. When you click on it, it doesn't look like it, but if we go into View, Display Mode, Outline, you can see that these are actually overlapping each other. We need to union them together so that it doesn't cut each one of these out individually. So in order to union first, we need to ungroup everything. So you can either come up to Object, Ungroup, or you can hold down Control Shift G on your keyboard. Once these are ungrouped, it's just as simple to go up and to Path and click on Union. Now all of these letters are together. It's one object instead of 4 separate objects. If you're using this for a laser cutter, you need to consider these thin bits. If you're making it really small, you don't want it too thin, because then you're going to have this burned away on this side, burned away on this side, and this is going to be too fragile. To make it thicker, you can just select the word here, go up to Path, either Outset or Dynamic Offset. Outset will make it just slightly larger or thicker, and you could do that. And Dynamic Offset, I think I've showed you with the heart, you can drag, but it does get messy. If you can see in here, now you're losing all of these and you're gonna have to clean it up afterwards. It's really good if, say, you wanted this word engraved and you wanted to cut around the word. We can actually, let's go into regular view mode. Say instead you want to have love engraved, but you want to make sure you cut around it in kind of the same shape. We're going to duplicate it, duplicate, and for our duplicate, let's do no fill red outline. We'll come up here without deselecting it. We're going to go to dynamic offset and drag. Now we're getting this outline here. To make it into an object that we can edit, we go to object to path. And then we can go in, and this is only, we're still only dealing with this red outline here. So we're going to select all of these nodes here that are just random, and we're going to delete them. Clean everything up. If you don't want any cutouts, you can remove them all. In order to do it quickly and cleanly, you can always just pick the path that you want, click on one node, hold down Control A, and it will select all of them, and you can just hit delete, and it'll only delete the ones that are on that path. Again, click one, highlight, drag, whatever, Control A, delete. And here's one lone one that was its own. So dynamic offset can get really messy, but it also really helps make a nice outline. Yes, sometimes you gotta clean up a lot of things, but most of the time, well, not most of the time, but a good chunk of the time, you'll get a good solid foundation to create this outline. I don't actually want the outline. This is fine right here. I am going to union this with the heart. So that way when we cut it out, you're gonna have the whole word love. Say you don't want to lose any of these details right here where it overlaps. I'm going to duplicate that word. One of them won't have a fill. So my duplicate will have a stroke color and no fill. I'm going to select one of them, doesn't matter which, and we're going to shift click our heart, and we're going to union. So you can come up to Path, Union, or if you're using your hotkeys, you can use Control++. Now you'll see here I've got love right there, but it is lacking the details of where it overlapped the heart. You don't need the detail, especially if you're trying to make something very quick. I just want to do the cutouts. That's fine. Let me remove the fill on this. But if you wanted to keep these details here, we're going to make sure we have the correct one selected. We'll come over here, Edit Paths by Node. We're going to zoom in, and what I do is I double click on the line that intersects the main part here, the main shape. I'm going to highlight the nodes that I created, or if there's already a line there, you can do that too. I will hit break path at selected nodes. And I will do that every place on this word that intersects with that black line. So I don't want to click on both, but take this one, click on one, and you can shift, hold down shift and click on the other one. Again, break path at selected nodes. We've got another spot here. You can drag this one over, or you can create your own. Again, it might be tedious work, but if you really wanted to keep those details, then this is a way that you can do it. Have that one selected, this one selected, break path at selected nodes. So now I've done it at every part that intersects. So now I can just randomly highlight these paths, because these are different paths here. It's all part of the same object, but it's on a different line pretty much. As long as you have some of it selected, including this right here, we should just be able to highlight, hit Control All, and it'll capture all the nodes in that area. Then we're just going to hit delete. Let's see. And by doing that, now we have just those parts left that we want to score. This is not going to work for an engrave, it'll just be scoring to keep those details, because say we add a fill to it, it's not going to look right. This is if you wanted to keep those details by scoring those edges. I'm going to group it with the rest here so that it doesn't get lost. Say you wanted to make this into a pendant or a necklace or earring or something. You're going to need a way to hang it. You can You could put it anywhere you want, off to the side, in the middle. You can even just somehow put a jump ring around this area. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a hanging tag in the middle. So just grab your circle tool over here and drag. Well, I guess for now I'm going to shrink it down. This is all grouped together. Not this. It's all grouped together. Say you want it to be, let's see, what's a good dangle earring size? Maybe the height would be 1 3/4 inches. Okay, now we're down here at 1 3/4 inches. Our width is just under 2 inches. So this is too big for a hanging tag. A good size, let's see, maybe a little bit over 1/8 of an inch. Where did it go? Maybe that's too small. Whatever size you want, drag it out, and then we're going to center it. So you're going to click this, and you'll click the object you want to center it on. As long as you have your align and distribute set to relative to last selected, whatever you click on, let's see, oh, I deleted that other one. Whatever you click on, whatever the last thing you select is what it's going to align to. So we're just going to come here to center on vertical axis. You see it's shifted it over just a little bit. Now we need a hole in this hanging tag here. So I am going to duplicate, so Control D on your keyboard, and then you're going to hold down Control Shift on your keyboard, click on one of the arrows here and drag it inwards. You're dragging it inwards, and a good size for the middle there to fit most jump rings would be either 0.08 inches or 0.09 inches. Make sure it's centered. I just adjusted that, and so it doesn't keep it quite on point. Now from here, because I have this grouped together with my score lines, it would be easier to just go to this Edit Paths by Node, click on this, Shift, hold down Shift, click on the heart, okay, and then Path Union. Now I have this hanging tag here. We don't need to do anything with this. I would like to make it a different color. I like my inner cuts to be different colors than my outer cuts, so that when we send it to our machine, the alignment won't get messed up. It'll cut the inner parts first, and then it'll cut the outer parts. Okay, I like my cuts to be red. Just personal preference. So I'm going to group everything together, and there you have it. You've got a place to put your jump ring. You've got the words cut out. It'll cut out just like this. It'll score these edges. When you bring it into your Glowforge interface though, these scores automatically upload as cuts. So you're going to have to make sure on the side there in your interface that you assign score instead of cut. And then you're going to want to make sure all your scores are at top. Engraving scores are at the top. You're going to drag anything that needs to be a cut down below, and you want the inner cut first and then the outer cut. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, please let me know.